right, welcome back everybody. My name is Oliver. I work at Copenhagen FinTech, and this session we're celebrating 5 startups within the Nordic ecosystem that won the awards within each category of 5 different sustainability categories. I would like to just give a little bit of context before I hand over the words to the startups. About last year, we sat down and we mapped out together with all our Nordic partners how many FinTech startups are there in the Nordics. We saw there was roughly around 1,000 of them. And then we said, out of these 1,000 startups, which of them are actively working with a sustainability agenda? And that was a little bit of an iterative process. We had to define what is a sustainability agenda and then categorize startups accordingly. After doing a bunch of research, we found out that there was around 200 startups that were both FinTech and having a strong sustainability agenda within 5 categories that we created. After that, we went through a long process together with an independent jury of international judges to say, within each category, which startup do you believe the most in, and which startup do you believe both is a good business and will make a big impact within the category that they're working. Today, we're here to hear from the winners that were announced this summer. So it's going to be some great startups that are going to present 5 minutes each about their company and their work within each category. The first startup that I'm going to hand the word over is actually dialing in from Singapore. It's the startup called Chainalysis within the category of anti-corruption and anti-crime or crime prevention. And Chainalysis, we have a special connection to Chainalysis as they started here in the FinTech Lab where I'm sitting today with just 2 people. And last week, we all found out that they have become a unicorn. So I'm going to hand over the word to Chainalysis. Please make your presentation and I'll let you take it from here. Thank you.
Thanks a lot for taking the time for this. It's been great to do this with you guys last year, and we're very happy to do this with you guys this year as well. Today, I would like to talk a bit about building trust in blockchains and preventing money laundering. I'm Ulisse, I'm the MD Asia Pacific at Chainalysis, and I'm currently in Singapore. Now, that's exactly what Chainalysis does. Chainalysis creates trust in blockchain and in blockchains and make them more transparent. Now, what we want to be is also the common link between the different stakeholders that are operating in the blockchain. So we generally work with law enforcement agencies, regulators, financial institutions, and cryptocurrency businesses. But like blockchain being at an infancy stage still, there's plenty of use cases that are coming up, and we believe that a lot of other stakeholders will join this industry. Now, an important question that a lot of people ask about Chainalysis and transaction monitoring is, how does it work? Now, most cryptocurrency value is transferred through services. And these are some of the services that we've identified in the blockchain. So as you might notice, there are licit and illicit services. And the reason why it's extremely important to identify licit and illicit services is because criminals generally do not tend to make transactions directly. They tend to use multiple services that in some cases are illicit to fund their operations. Now, if you were to look at a blockchain explorer, you would see a string of numbers, letters, outputs, and inputs, and you wouldn't know basically what is behind these specific transactions. Now, what Chainalysis does is basically create the link between the blockchain and the real world. So what you would see on Chainalysis would be 2 services interacting in the blockchain and exchanging millions of transactions. Now, this is an important thing that I want you to keep in mind, because this is exactly what we do when it comes to transaction monitoring. Now, in order to prove how important transaction monitoring in the cryptocurrency space can be, I want to talk about a drug trafficking case study that we came up with in the last months. This involves the most famous department store in the world, Harrods, and it's a case study that involves money laundering, of course. So in this case, 2 men leveraged Harrods to ship cocaine to Australia. They paid for shipping of hollowed out drug-filled books and games to Australia through the store. Now, police was alerted about a specific package that seemed suspicious to the store, and this package was basically seized and contained 8 kilograms of cocaine that was destined to Australia. Now, through joint operations with local law enforcement and the Australian Federal Police, this led to a controlled delivery that was undertaken after the warrant was executed, and led to the arrest of different criminals, drugs, money, and firearms were recovered. Now, this seems to be a very normal or standard money laundering operation. That being said, we uncovered more of this. Indeed, we followed the money, and we identified that there were illicit drugs that were sent to the organized crime organization that were sold, basically allowing to sell drugs in the UK. This would allow basically to sell drugs in the UK and in Australia. The interesting part was how would the criminals launder the funds, launder the money? So basically turn the dirty cash into clean cash directly. In this case, they basically used a network of cash profits that was ended through BT Street traders in the UK. So that basically means that through a peer-to-peer organization, they organized an exchange between cash and Bitcoin. And this then led to criminals using this Bitcoin to basically cash out on cryptocurrency exchanges in the blockchain, to then sell these Bitcoins over the counter and complete the circle and bring the clean money back into the system. So this is something that happens very often, unfortunately, and involves some of the largest exchanges in the world that sometimes close one eye or two. Now, what is the final outcome of this investigation? This is the first time the traditional organized crime organization, at least when it comes to drug trafficking in the UK, has been linked to money laundering using cryptocurrency. This is also an international investigation which connected both Australia and the UK. This is very interesting because thanks to our software, thanks to transaction monitoring software in the blockchains, we allowed these law enforcement agencies to uncover intelligence that they did not previously identify in normal circumstances. This led to significant seizures of cryptocurrency and the entire disruption of these organized crime organization, with one suspect that fled to Dubai and the entire organization basically went out of business. Now, what are the key takeaways when it comes to this? So firstly, if Chainalysis had been used as start in the investigation, we would have been able to uncover more links more rapidly, and this would have meant basically seizing more assets and stopping these operations sooner rather than later. But also, Chainalysis would have enabled law enforcement agencies to basically uncover the flow of money in a way that would allow them to prevent future operations of this kind. And thirdly, it's extremely important for different stakeholders to communicate together to prevent these type of operations. On the right, you basically see two of the largest exchanges in the world and the total amount of illicit funds being received by Binance and Huobi. This is something that should not happen, and law enforcement agencies and cryptocurrency businesses should work together to prevent these type of operations. And that's it. I tried to make it in 5 minutes. I hope that was it. That was yes, I cannot answer any questions.
That was great. Thank you very much for that presentation. Maybe I could ask a quick question before we let you go. Could you say, for Chainalysis, who would be your main kind of partners that you work the most with? Because as you mentioned, there's a lot of different stakeholders, crypto exchanges, law enforcement, financial institutions, and so on. So when you go out, who is the key partner that you're the closest with?
So, we're very close with law enforcement agencies. Obviously, we do a lot of training to these agencies to make sure that they understand not simply the basics about cryptocurrency transaction monitoring, but also how to enforce and how to uncover new ways of laundering money. But also, we're very, very close with cryptocurrency businesses because we basically provide them the solutions to limit these type of, like cashing out operations in real time. So there are certain exchanges, can name one, for example, Bitstamp, that have a very unique way of approaching this type of operations and stop actually funds from being tainted in real time. And it's extremely important to do a lot of educational work through the different stakeholders. So I would say that obviously we're very much connected to law enforcement agencies, but also to cryptocurrency businesses. Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much for that presentation. And I think it's clear to many why you were the winner within this category, that you actually do prevent real crime. You work with law enforcement. And I think on a FinTech level, in our context, of course, you help bring trust and transparency to a whole new technology of blockchain, which then enables a lot of new other players to legitimize their business and be able to grow. So you've also been instrumental to grow that whole industry from where we sit. So thank you for that. Next up, we're going to jump up to the next category, which is financial inclusion from Jami.one. I know you had quite a special day today. I'll hand over the mic to you. So feel free to unmute and share the screen.
Thank you. I definitely had a very special day. I'm still trying to handle this sharing. Now it became a whiteboard. That's not what I meant to do. Maybe do we want to skip one and then I can share if someone already figured it out?
Yes, sure. Mathias from Doconomy, within the category of energy and climate. How's your screen sharing skills? You feeling ready?
They're pretty good, but it doesn't seem to work with the keynote, so I will need to save it as a PDF file. Sorry for that. Otherwise, I could have stepped in.
All right. I know Emil from Matter has amazing screen sharing capabilities. Emil, are you by any chance sitting ready with screen sharing?
Absolutely. That's one of the nicest things anyone has ever said about me. Thanks, Oliver.
Fantastic. I'll let you take it from here.
Let's see if I can live up to the expectations. Here we go. Are you guys seeing this?
Yes, we're seeing it.
Perfect. All right. Hi, everyone. I'm the head of screen sharing at Matter. My name is Emil, also co-founder and COO. And we're a Danish FinTech company that operates in the ESG space. And I believe we won the category on ESG data. One of the good things that is happening in the world right now, even though we have enormous issues related to sustainability, and we are often talking about the lack of finance for sustainable solutions, actually already 1/3 of the world's professionally managed assets are invested according to some principles of ESG, responsibility and ethics.
Emil, sorry to interrupt. I can hear from the tech team here that we can't see your screen anymore. Could you try to rescreen?
I'll do that again, just a sec. Maybe I'll just do something more simple like this. Are you seeing my screen now?
Yes.
Great.
Thanks.
Perfect. So as I was saying, 1/3 of the world's professionally managed assets in listed assets are managed according to some principles of ESG, sustainability, responsibility, which is in a way is a good news. You also see that there's a rising interest in sustainable investment solutions in the retail space. So more and more people in the general population, particularly led by the younger generations, are showing increasing interest in sustainable investment solutions. The problem is that when we are talking about the advances that are being made and how we're increasingly investing sustainably or responsibly, it often means that we're integrating ESG metrics or ESG data into our investment decisions. And what that concretely means is that these ratings on the sustainability and responsibility of companies and governments that issue securities are being used to drive investment decisions. The problem is that only 1.3 is the correlation of between these ratings. So if you look, this is a big study from MIT, if you look across ratings from a range of providers, it's only 3 out of 10 times that they actually agree more or less on the sustainability of a company. What that leads to is that you see a lot of, depending on the metrics that are being included in the provider that is being used, you get different outcomes. And some gender funds fail to live up to the promise because they integrate different type of ESG metrics than others. And unwittingly, investors who track a sustainability index could be investing in tobacco. So we want to change that at Matter by creating a different or supplying a different set of data to drive financial decision making in the space of sustainable finance. And we try to sort of pioneer the concept of contextual and transparent insights. And what that means to us is that we collaborate with more than 50 independent expert sources and use a neural network to read news from hundreds of trusted media outlets around the world to get an understanding of what the world, and particularly driven by what the contextual and subject matter experts are saying about the sustainable actions of a given company or a given sovereign issue of a security. We then transform these insights into analyses that we apply on single asset or portfolio levels. And the touch points that you can reach the analyses through is, of course, via one of our APIs, but also through our portfolio analyses, or for more retail use, you can integrate our reporting directly on a digital interface to reach your end user, be it a retail investor or a client in a pension fund, with impact reporting and insights on the companies or the funds that they're choosing between. We cover more than 14,000 companies, 95% of the major indices, and we read more than 65,000 articles every day. A snapshot of the dashboard that we're transforming our portfolio analysis into here gives you a hint of where we're trying to go with this. So today we offer static reporting solutions in PDF for portfolio analyses, but we're turning it into an interactive tool that allows investors to screen any portfolio and match it against any index and any other portfolio to, for example, compare the sustainability footprint of managers against each other and apply different frameworks, the SDGs or the new coming reporting requirements in the European Union to these analyses. So what we've been part of on our journey so far is we've been part of launching 2 sustainable pension products. We've served more than 30 customers across 3 continents with our portfolio screening and reporting tools, and we actually just closed a Series A funding, so we have the possibility to keep the journey and accelerate our growth. We currently have a team of plus 15 people from different places around the world, ranging with a different backgrounds, ranging from NGOs, the United Nations, but also asset management, other fintechs, and strategy consulting. So, in short, I think that's Matter. Follow us on thisismatter.com, or feel free to reach out to me as well. My email is down in the corner. Thanks a lot.
Great, Emil. Thank you for that presentation. I think you lived up to your title there. Obviously, the category that Emil and Matter is placed is within the ESG data category. So basically being able to show the sustainability profiles of these companies as he presented. The next, let's see if we can circle back to our financial inclusion and see, Charlotte, are you ready?
Let's give it a shot. I hope so. So thank you, and a great honor to be here. I see the screen is working, so I do think we have a chance. Yeah, you're both hearing and seeing?
Yes. Good.
All right. So yeah, thank you for the opportunity, and I'm in great company here. Good to see Emil and Ulisse. It's a great honor actually to be nominated amongst you, and thank you to the Nordic FinTech Awards and Copenhagen FinTech for this recognition that we much appreciate. I'm Charlotte Rønje. I'm CEO and co-founder of Jami.one, which is a FinTech company connecting traditional savings communities with financial institutions. And let me tell you why and how we do that. This is Jette, one of our very first users. She basically grew her family out of poverty with a small loan of $30, but she didn't get the loan from a bank. Because like half the world's population, the bank, which was right next to her, she lives in Addis Ababa in Ethiopia, the capital, didn't know that they could trust her. And this is missed opportunities for banks of more than $360 billion each year that they're not servicing this segment. So who knows that they could trust in Jette? Well, that was, of course, her community, because like hundreds of millions of people around the world, she saves up together with other ladies in her communities, and they take loans from each other. But of course, if you have a community of low-income people, the loaning capital is extremely limited, and unserved loaning needs are more than 80%. So they need to be connected with the wider financial ecosystem of Ethiopia, and the same in other countries. So that's what we do. We provide a app-based, quite actually advanced documentation system for these savings groups, where they register all their financial and transactions between each other, and this way build both identity and track record. We then use that data to connect these women with local financial institutions, helping with the KYC process, and of course credit scoring, and much more. And today, as you said, it was a very special day, because this morning we tuned in also on Teams to see more than 80 people, more than 80 women from these local savings communities receiving loans from the microfinance just next door, who very expressively said that they would not have been able to provide them loans had it not been for this data. So it is a very special day for us today to see these women being recognized for their good work and for their creditworthiness. The reason we need to build these services, I think like Matter, we are quite diverse. We are coming from the NGO, the tech sector, the FinTech sector, as well as NGOs and UN. And then something happened. Mathias Wikström, it says, are you maybe sharing your screen now?
Oh, I'm not sure what's happening here on the tech side.
I think so, but let me see if I can a little bit overrule.
Yeah, I think we're all trying to share the screen.
No problem. I think I was the one to interrupt Emil, to be quite honest. All right, that's the part you need to be able to practice in this tech. Well, that's developing as well. And so did we. And the past 2 years, we've gone from an idea that was tested in 4 African countries to launching in Ethiopia and partnering with the government, as well as 50 NGOs, reach 5,000 users, and now provide financial services to our users based on our data. Our financial or our business model is geared towards the NGOs that we work with that need this data, as well as the financial service providers that are offering loans and other services on top of our solution. And circling back to the event today was the second time in the history of my history in Jami.one that I cried tears of joy. The first time was 2 years back when we saw the first group use our app and saw the potential of this technology. And the second time was today when I saw a mother of 4 single mother of 4 have a loan to rebuild her business after COVID had completely crushed it. And I know next year I'll be crying once more, because then we'll go to scale. We already have a plan of 5,000 loans to be giving out in collaboration with the UNCDF in Ethiopia, and also to expand globally based on this. So that is Jami.one, and that is me. Thank you, and I'll be glad to take any questions.
Great, thank you so much. And sounds like you had a really good day today, where we saw financial inclusion in action. Could you share a little bit about what happened today in terms of the data that you provided, and how is that unique to what they never gotten before, just out of curiosity?
Yeah, I think that's a very valid question. So what, of course, a financial institution wants to see is, one, the ability to save up. And most of these women do not save up in financial institutions. It's too far. They don't see themselves as customers. 72% of the adult population in Ethiopia do not consider themselves potential bank customers. So it's not a system that they would even use. They get much more out of saving up together with their group. But then that leaves the microfinance not knowing that they have an ability to save up. So that's a huge problem. The other thing is they don't know that they can take loans because they haven't done it prior. They don't have any history. And the third thing is that traditionally all over Ethiopia, financial institutions and in many other countries require that you have, I was just thrown because I thought you left, require that you have collateral, that you can put up collateral. And in this case, we're replacing collateral with data. We're saying you don't need collateral. You need to know that that you can provide this loan, which also is taking away part of the risk of ending people in poverty traps. So, so those were some of the things. We make that transparent. We enable, so to say, the financial service provider to look inside the box, to see the data, to see why the other women trust Yetem to have a loan. That's what we do.
Fantastic. Thank you for joining us, and continue to have a great day, or evening, I guess, at this point.
Thank you
very
for
much.
a great event. Thank you.
Mathias, we're ready for you, and we're ready for the screen share.
Welcome to an era of impact, transparency, and responsibility. Super. Then it works in a mysterious way, and I think just stepping up after a presentation like that, makes everything seem small in regard of transactions and finance and driving consumption to a more sustainable position. I'm very honored to be part of a crowd driving positive change in such a tangible fashion. So thank you for sharing your story. In regard of Doconomy, we try to accelerate the climate crisis of today. In order to do that, we need to educate the consumers of tomorrow. If we want to future-proof life on planet Earth, and we want to make a sustainable lifestyle possible for all, complete sustainability inclusion, not only for those that can afford to choose, but for everyone that needs and wants to contribute. We believe it's time to connect our consumption to its impact on the planet. Those with the most money has the greatest impact. We need to direct the most powerful force to save the planet, and we are all parts of this. We all manifest our lifestyle through consumption. It represents 24 trillion US dollars. It's 10 times the money spent on military and global level. So we want to accelerate demand for impact, transparency in financial services and provide digital solutions to enable sustainable lifestyle. We're looking to have 500 million users of our methodology, calculating the impact transaction by transaction, making every purchase count, in educating users around their impact, and reducing their footprint with 2 metric tons per individual in a year, with a total number of 1 billion tons CO2 equivalents avoided by 2025. So we got a few years, but it's not long to go. And we understand we can't do this on our own. We understand that we need to work in close collaboration with other thought leaders in banking, in payments, in data, and in tech. And what is grateful to see is that once exposed to these numbers and educated around impact, 25% of the users changed their behavior and reduced their footprint. And we also want to use, instead of only driving resources to carbon offsetting, what we're interested in is driving resources into funding great ideas. So potentially working with the peers such as Matter or competences similar to them in regard of directing funding to mitigate negative impact. Today we provide a few different solutions. We have the All-on Index API. It's a cloud-based service for climate impact calculations, open to any bank that wants to engage and educate their users around their impact as well. We have we walk our own talk, so we have our own consumer-facing service in Sweden, which we're learning a lot from. And we also have this carbon limit credit card, the Do Black. Instead of a traditional financial limit or credit limit, we put a limit on your spending in regard of your negative impact through CO2 emissions. And we have recently developed a product carbon footprint calculator in order for small and medium-sized brands to label their products with both the price out of a financial perspective and the impact out of a climate perspective measured in CO2. It's free of use, it takes a few minutes, and it reduces all the hurdles in regard of competing with the big boys, in regard of stepping up to transparency within sustainability. So the way it works is, now this is an emergency PDF file. It used to be animated, but The credit card identifies with the merchant category codes, and the category codes are scored in collaboration with leading financial market impact data through our partnership with Standard & Poor's Trucost. It calculates the societal cost of carbon based on the impact measured in kilos and then circled back into the compensation value of the very purchase. Åland Index was originally developed by the Bank of Åland in collaboration with Doconomy, and it's now the leading climate impact index for transactions on cards and PFM. Already today, in less than a year, we launched at COP25 together with our partner, United Nations Climate Change Secretariat, November last year in Madrid. We are now in partnership with banks representing over 140 million users in 8 countries and growing. Progressive banks are reaching out every day in order to pick up on conversation, and we welcome them because we need to be a force for good and a force of many. So this is our traditional card in the Swedish market, scoring every transaction. And naturally, we couldn't do this on our own. Collaboration is at core of everything that Doconomy does. And working with the UN, working with MasterCard, and working with Standard & Poor's has propelled us forward in a way that we never thought was possible. We're very proud of the progress, but we're also humble to the fact that in order to look far, you need to stand on the shoulders of giants. And we're now looking to enter into conversation with a few leading global banks around enabling their users to understand their impact, to engage in reducing it and measuring it by using the best of data available. So thank you very much.
Thank you for that presentation, Mathias. Really interesting to hear more about Doconomy every time. And the category, just to clarify, was within the energy and climate category. So I think it's quite clear how you guys are working to help drive climate action by making transactions impact on climate visible and actionable for consumers through their different financial services. So thank you very much for that, and excited to see what's on the horizon for Doconomy. And now that I recently moved back to Sweden, I can get my Doconomy card as well, so I can go on a carbon diet and change my consumption. But,
that's great news.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Mathias.
Great news to the world. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you for that.
Thank you for listening in.
Great. We have our final category, which is on financing impact. So now we're going to give the mic over to Oslo. In Nina, are you with us? Oslo Philanthropic Exchange.
I am with you, and I'm now.
We can see you.
Yeah, and I'm loading my presentation.
Fantastic. I think this is charming. We're having a little nice AV conversation here.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for being part of this great group of really good startups with great missions. You can see my screen now?
Yes, it's great.
Okay,
Perfect.
Yeah. Okay, Nina Skui, CEO of Oslo Philanthropic Exchange. We are a FinTech startup organized as a foundation in Oslo. We are building a digital marketplace for philanthropic capital for the world's humanitarian organization, or the NGOs. I'll just see if I can. We have a hypothesis that the NGOs do operate very similar as for-profit companies. Many people employed working in complex product and services, as well as having a great need for capital for their operation. If this is correct, it exists a best practice for finding capital efficient. The processes for-profit companies go through when they're finding money in the capital market at the exchange. OPX will reduce costs with standardized processes. OPX build trust with transparency, and OPX help grant makers to find the mission in a very efficient way. OPX also help the NGOs with reporting back to grant makers. Where is the money going, and how does my year in philanthropy looks? This is not only a tool for grant makers, but also a tool for the financial advisor or wealth managers who want to support their client within philanthropic area. The problem, the challenge. Philanthropic is a significant growing capital flow, yet one of the least efficient. Grant makers do have lack of trust. How efficient is my money used? Is my money going to the mission? Where can I find causes I really care about? And who is quality checked and run its business in a very good way? NGOs do have high funding costs. Reporting back to grant makers is often demanding, and rarely is money matching mission. By applying the best practice standards and infrastructure from the capital market, OPX will reduce cost significantly. Trust being created by transparency, by the due diligence verification of information that is facilitated. Using the same infrastructure and modern finance technology, we will be able to streamline capital also to the world's major humanitarian challenges. We also believe this will motivate donors' joy. I hear a lot of noise on the screen. Okay. Okay. To summarize this, we build the global missing and
all right, someone needs to mute their mic. Maybe someone from our tech team can mute. Everyone except Nina.
No, it's not me. But
no, I know it's not you. But I'm just saying someone in our tech team can go in Teams and mute.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, to summarize this slide, we build a global standard missing in the and facilitate digital marketplace for building trust and more efficient philanthropic capital. This is a quote that we like from Patricia Tweedley in KPMG. Many private donors are starting to think more like investors, seeking better value for money and return on investment in terms of social outcome, and expecting NGOs to be more accountable and transparent than ever. Okay, so what are we building? OPX solved three major challenges for grant makers. The first, grant makers will find philanthropic capital placement options who meet their requirements. The second, OPX help grant makers in an efficient way to fund the missions. And third, OPX report back to grant makers on donation done. It makes it easier to follow the investment. OPX offer this digital solution direct to grant makers or their wealth manager who help their client with release new and cost-efficient philanthropic capital. We have received multi-year funding from IKEA Foundation and Innovation Norway. We have built a senior cross-functional team. We also do all the development internally. We also see a lot of interesting from our work, as we saw in the Copenhagen FinTech Week. And we also develop now with partnership. We have agreements signed with multinational non-profit organization, legal and financial due diligence partners, grant makers, and financial institutions. So wrap up. To solve the major challenges with high cost and lack of trust, OPX built the world's first capital market dedicated to efficient philanthropic funding. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Nina, for that presentation. Of course, you were within the category of financing impact, where it makes perfect sense as you're helping organizations that are working to make an impact become better financially geared, as you mentioned before. So thank you very much for the presentation. I would like to say thanks to all of the 5 companies that are the winners of these awards. I think it's super clear for anyone watches who see the quality of the startups here and the impact that they're actually delivering. And it makes me proud to say that I'm working within FinTech, when I get to see companies like yours out there making a difference. So thank you very much for that. I think we have world-class fintech companies. We need to work a little bit on our AV skills, but I'd rather have it that way than the other way around. So thank you very much. I wish everyone a great afternoon, and take care until next time. Bye.